only U.S. and Canada. Now we're seeing other countries come up and compete, and not at being able to win a 7-game series per se, but they're competing against those top dogs. So the game's developing, and the women's game is they have the most growth, so their numbers are accelerating, which is great. And now it's a matter of just continuation of that, and like you said, a little bit of patience and a little combined. What I said is like, again, the men's game is built on. I mean, my uncles used to go to the slapshot days in Syracuse and literally watch the keychain being thrown from the stands. My uncle Ray actually used to be one of the hecklers. I guess my dad said he was such a pain in the ass at the games. He used to cause so many brawls. So many guys wanted to come up in the stands after him because there was no glass behind the benches either. So it's just like, you're right there talking all this shit. Those guys want to kill. But
there's a certain romance about that. You know what I mean? There's a certain romance about those old days where you kind of go, man, I wish I was part of that chaos.
I know. It was great.
Did you ever have anything like that, Shrimpy? In the minors, in the American League? OHL, any brawls? Any
we
stuff
had,
like that?
in Peterborough, we had some dads get into it, and then one of the guys jumped over the bench and went over. In Kitchener, they changed now, obviously, but in my day, they didn't have glass behind the bench either. So it was the same stuff. Like, these people were ruthless behind the bench and just talking shit and spilling stuff on you, and did everything you could to not. There's actually one clip of me on the internet. It says "Shrimp idiot." It turned like, you just see me go through the Zamboni door and like swinging my stick, but what they don't see is I was skating by and one of the fans spit through the glass right on me, and I just went irate and I tried to spear with my stick. I was unsuccessful, but it looks bad on YouTube. But the backstory is that, I mean, anybody loses their shit when you get spit on. That's the grossest thing you can do.
I agree.
What's the grossest thing somebody dumped on you from behind the bench, and what's the best chirp from a fan you heard in Kitchener?
Obviously beer was always being spilled. In Windsor was the same too, but in Kitchener it was beer, and then somebody was chirping me, and I smiled at him, and then he said, "Where'd you get those caramel colored teeth?" Because I chew tobacco back in the day, and I must have had a lot on my teeth.
Yeah, I noticed you and I are both on the Zins. We both graduated from Copenhagen. Congratulations to you.
He was right, though. I went and looked in the mirror and two peers. They were like,
isn't that the worst? You get chirped and you're like, oh man, there's some truth to this. Damn, I got to fix my teeth. Shit.
Who's got a toothbrush?
Shrimpy, we've taken up a lot of your time. I want to hear really quickly. I want to roll out the red carpet for you and hear all about the endeavors that you have going on with your ag and your golf. But first, I want a quick story. Hong Kong. Tell me about it. Why, how, and the highlights.
Yeah, no, I was in Latvia, and we were kind of there for the pandemic, and it was just stagnant. And I got a call out of the blue asking if I would take that call. So Jason Swales, a guy that he builds rinks over in these countries, in these South Asia areas and different countries, he builds rinks. He asked me if I would take the call from their owner, and I said, for sure, I'll take a call. And next thing you know, I was on a flight out there to check it out, and I just figured, why not? And ironically, when my daughter was born, my father-in-law was like, make sure she learns Mandarin. I was like, the hell is this guy talking about? Because we're in Latvia, I speak English, and then 6 years later we're in Hong Kong, and ironically enough, my daughter picked up some Mandarin. Yes. So that was cool. It was a great experience. It's a developing country. The Olympics being there, and I think it was 18 in China, is very close, and there's a lot of development there. There's a lot of passion. The game's going to need a lot, but it needs more what I did, a little bit more time spent there. Like, there's a lot of people that go in there and do camps, but what are you going to leave after a week-long camp? Maybe a couple tidbits, but it takes time and it takes development. So I got to go there and work with some kids. There's kid Henry Jung, Mitchell Smith, Godfrey. There was like probably 4 or 5, 6 kids that are AAA level globally. They could play in Canada. I'm not saying they'd be Wayne Gretzky. I'm just saying they would be able to play in that.
Are these expats kids, or are these local Hong Kong Chinese kids?
Local, like Mitchell Smith's uncle played in the AHL. He's in the AHL Hall of Fame. Brad Smith, he's a really good goal scorer and tough player. I think he had around 600 points in the A. So, but he was born in Hong Kong. His dad moved there 30 years ago for finance, and obviously the kid was born there. So, technically, I don't know what to call him. Is he an expat? I don't think so. I think he's.
Hey, more hockey content. It's might be old, it might be new, it might be a full episode, it might be a half episode, but you can click these boxes because who doesn't like clicking boxes?